is October 27th. A little warm out today, but we're getting close to the rut. We're going to an area where we've got a lot of does on the property, probably the most does out of any property we have. We've got a bedding area to the north. Real thick, it's an old slashing. Starting to see a lot more scrapes and rubs in this area. So we're hoping today that we're going to catch a buck coming out of there cruising looking for a doe. To the south, it's not quite as big of a slashing that we got over there, but that's where all the does hang out. So our stand is set in between them. We've got a perfect west wind. Should be a good night. So let's see what happens.
Good to the antlers, but just not what we're looking for. Hopefully the big one comes cruising here pretty soon.
blood, baby. Look at that area. Can you see that?
This right here is the area that we shot my buck. And if you look closely, it is completely covered in blood. Right there. Come down.
Well, I don't know, we might have lost him. It's about 3:30 a.m. Just got back. The guys, they all got to work in the morning, but we tracked him for about 170 yards through swamp, thicket. You know, it got to be where every 20 yards we were finding a pin drop of blood. And then just dried up, couldn't find it anymore. So these guys are gonna get some sleep, go to work in the morning. I got about half a day before the storm comes. It's supposed to thunderstorms around noon tomorrow, so I'm gonna get some sleep, get back at it bright and early in the morning. Hope for the best. You know, as a hunter, we all experience the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Whether it's you get your first buck or the biggest buck that you've ever gotten, or you miss a buck of a lifetime, or say you put a bad shot on one and you can't find it. Well, I was lucky enough to experience all of that in one hunt. And I was lucky enough to eventually find my buck. And here he is right here. He gross scored 178 7/8 inches. Biggest buck that I've ever gotten to date. But there's a little story behind it. Last that you saw of me, I was frustrated, down. You know, we tracked that night until early morning, and you know, I went in the next day, and unfortunately Mother Nature had other plans for me. You know, she started raining hard and I completely lost all blood. So for the next 2 months, that's pretty much all I did, was just look for this buck. I hardly hunted anything else. And you know, I was going around talking to all the neighbors, getting permission just to go on their property, just to have a chance to find this buck. And you know, when I thought, you know, it was over, 48 days later, I get a text message from one of our good friends, and it's a picture of a really big buck sitting on the back of a tailgate. Instantly I knew it was him. So I called my buddy to figure out where this buck was at, and sure enough, it was found on the adjacent property to where I shot him. So I made a few phone calls to try to figure out who this mystery guy was. Well, I ended up figuring out whereabout he lived, so I drove up and down the road for miles just looking for his pickup truck, and finally I found it. So I went in, knocked on his door, and he was home, and he answered the door, and instantly he knew who I was. And he just looked at me and said, "You want to see him?" So he took me out to the garage and picked him up, handed him to me. He said, "Merry Christmas." It was December 14th, so Christmas was right around the corner, and let me tell you, that was probably the best Christmas present I've ever had. So all in all, you know, never give up. You know, do what you can. I mean, there's going to be some that will get away from you, but you know, if you put your heart and soul into it, there's a good chance you'll be able to prevail. Thanks for watching my story, guys, and remember, always stay ahead of the game.